This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Velasco, and welcome to ASEAN in Focus, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, the North Korean special representative for the U.S. arrived in Beijing on Tuesday, apparently en route to Vietnam to meet his Washington counterpart ahead of a second scheduled summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, South Korea's Yonhap news agency said. The palace assured the public there would be transparency in the use of the 10 billion peso rice competitiveness enhancement fund and no corruption. Eight-time world champion Nicole David has announced she will retire at the end of the 2018-2019 squash season, bringing down the curtain on the Malaysian's illustrious career. The palace on Monday, Feb 18, reiterated President Rodrigo Duterte does not know personally the businessman who filed cyber libel charges against Rappler, its executive editor, Maria Ressa, and former reporter Reynaldo Santos Jr. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo reiterated President Duterte's statements anew after the Pinoy Ako blog, known for its anti-administration stance, said Wilfredo Kang Century Peak Metals Holding Corp. Had bagged government projects, including a reclamation project in Cavite. Panelo said, even assuming that those facts she stated are correct, it doesn't follow that the president will know this particular person. According to Panelo, the president generally does not interfere in the activities of department heads. If he does, Panelo said this was only if corruption was reported. Ressa has said the charges and her arrest last week were an affront to press freedom and proof the government was abusing its power. However, the palace said it was actually Ressa who was abusing her power as a journalist, noting that she wanted to be treated in a different way. The North Korean special representative for the U.S. arrived in Beijing on Tuesday, apparently en route to Vietnam to meet his Washington counterpart ahead of a second scheduled summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, South Korea's Yonhap news agency said. Kim Yok-chol arrived in the Chinese capital at around 10 a.m. and was expected to board a plane bound for Hanoi later in the day. Kim's trip comes 3 days after Kim Jong-un's de facto chief of staff, Kim Chang-son, landed in Hanoi to discuss protocol and security matters with the U.S. team ahead of the summit on February 27 to 28. Kim Yok-chol and his U.S. counterpart, Stephen Biegun, were engaged in 3 days of talks in Pyongyang earlier this month, exploring each side's positions on denuclearization ahead of the much-anticipated meeting. Biegun said they had been productive, but more dialogue was needed. They also have some hard work to do with the DPRK between now and then, adding that he was confident that if both sides stay committed, they can make real progress. The U.S. State Department said talks during Biegun's trip explored Trump and Kim Jong-un's commitments of complete denuclearization, transforming U.S. DPRK relations, and building a lasting peace of the Korean Peninsula. The U.S. envoy is expected to fly soon to Hanoi from Washington to resume talks with Kim Yok-chol. The cost of damage to property brought about by the fire that hit an auto shop on EDSA on Monday, February 18, has so far reached 10 million pesos, the Bureau of Fire Protection said. According to the BFP, the amount could still increase after the final assessment by authorities of the damage brought about by the blaze that hit the Prestige Auto Sports Center Corporation at 11:14 a.m. The shop was owned by Raymond Lugo. 2 vehicles inside the shop, reportedly owned by Senator J.V. Ejercito, were among those destroyed in the blaze that reached the second alarm. The fire was put out at 12:38 noon. No one was reported injured. Thailand's junta defended its $7 billion defense budget and annual draft on Monday after political opponents proposed slashing military spending by 10% and ending conscriptions after elections. The country spent among the most of defense in Southeast Asia, and recent big purchases, including submarines and tanks from China, have drawn criticism in a state riddled with inequality and corruption. Its generals have grabbed power a dozen times since 1932, with defense spending spiking in lockstep with each other, or with each coup. Last year, the junta picked National Legislative Assembly proposed a defense budget for 2019 of $7 billion, a $1 billion increase since the latest 2014 coup. But few Thai, linked to ex-Premier Thaksin Shinawatra and the country's most popular political party, has vowed to end conscription and cut spending by 10% if it beats the odds and returns to power after the March 24 poll. Junta Chief Prayut Chan-o-cha, who hopes to become civilian premier under an army-aligned party after the elections, on Monday justified the increase as necessary to upgrade obsolete gear. Chan-o-cha said the breakout of the war was impossible to predict, and in peacetime the army fights against drugs and illegal entry into the country. Military conscription, he added, is a duty of all Thai men.
Ang breastfeeding ay nagbibigay ng special na bonding sa pagitan ng nanay at anak. Mas naipaparamdam ng ina sa kanyang anak ang pagmamahal at pag-aaruga. Pagkasilang pa lang ng sanggol, tiyakin na agad na mapadede upang ang pinakamahalagang substance na tinatawag na colostrum na taglay ng gatas ng ina ay kanyang makuha. Ang colostrum ay ang unang gatas na ipinuproduce ng katawan ng mga nanay para sa kanilang sanggol. Kaya naman para sa mga nanay, ugaliing mag-breastfeeding. Batay sa pag-aaral, ang breastfeeding ay magpapalakas sa immune system ng inyong mga anak, kaya hindi sila madaling dapuan ng sakit. At ang benepisyo ng breastfeeding ay higit pa sa kailangang basic nutrition ng inyong mga baby. At para sa first-time mommies, narito ang breastfeeding positions na karaniwang ginagawa. Gawin ito ng tama at makatutulong ito sa inyong breastfeeding journey. Mainam ito sa bagong panganak na sanggol. Pwedeng gumamit ng unan sa posisyong ito. Ang posisyong ito ay para sa mga sanggol na maliit at nahihirapan sa paghakam sa ina. Mainam ang posisyong ito para sa mga hirap sa pagpapasuso ng nakaupo o kung nais magpahinga sa kama kasama ang sanggol. Mainam ang posisyong ito para sa mga nakaranas ng cesarean section o kung malaki ang dibdib o kaya naman ay kung kambal ang pinapasuso. Laging tandaan, ang gatas ng ina ang pinakamahalaga para sa mga sanggol, hanggang 2 taon o higit pa. Taglay ng breast milk ang lahat ng vitamins at nutrients na kailangan ng mga baby sa unang 6 na buwan. Ako po si Eden Santos, kaisa sa pagpapalaganap ng kahalagahan ng breast milk at breastfeeding.
Welcome back. The tariffs on rice importation under the newly signed rice tariffication law will start on March 3, according to the Department of Finance. In a statement, the DOF said the National Food Authority Council also approved the transfer of the NFA functions to the Department of Agriculture as provided under the rice tariffication law effective March 3. The DOF said the approval was made also on Monday, February 18, during the NFA Council meeting that aimed to fine-tune the implementing rules and regulations of the law that removes quantity restrictions on the importation of rice for as long as the 35% tariff on imports from other countries in Southeast Asia are paid. Finance Secretary Carlos Dominguez said their objective in liberalizing rice imports is to bring down the cost of the staple. Their price is 50% higher than the others, including Singapore, which does not produce rice. Asking will it take them 180 days to effect a reduction in the cost of the living of the people. The said meeting was also attended by Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Deputy Governor Diwa Ginigundo, Agriculture Undersecretary Ariel Cayanan, Finance Undersecretary Carl Kendrick Chua, National Treasurer Rosalia De Leon, and Monetary Board Member Bruce Tolentino. Representatives from the NFA, National Economic Development Authority, Land Bank of the Philippines, Department of Agriculture, Department of Trade and Industry, and Department of Social Welfare and Development were also present in the meeting. The palace on Tuesday, February 19, assured the public there would be transparency in the use of the 10 billion peso rice competitiveness enhancement fund and no corruption. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said good governance is the hallmark of the Duterte administration and the president has zero tolerance against corruption and wastage of taxpayers' money. According to Panelo, the Secretary of Agriculture would be accountable for the rice fund, which will be derived from the 35% rice tariff imposed on rice imported from other Southeast Asian countries under the newly signed rice tariffication law. Panelo said the master list of beneficiaries of the rice fund, farmers, farm workers, rice cooperatives, and associations will also be validated and updated by the Department of Agriculture in consultation with farmers, cooperatives, and organizations and local government units. He said the Congressional Oversight Committee on Agricultural and Fisheries Modernization will also conduct a periodic review of the rice fund. Panelo added they continue to exercise accountability and transparency in all levels of the bureaucracy. Inflation could fall to as low as 2% in the third quarter as measures rolled out by the government to boost food supply will further stabilize consumer prices, according to Budget Secretary Benjamin E. Jokno. Jokno said that inflation in the second quarter may fall within the 2 to 4% target range of the government. He said, however, that the average rate in the first quarter may reach the target as the Philippines is coming from high inflation figures. Inflation in 2018 averaged 5.2%, the highest since 2009 when the rate settled at 4.2%. However, the budget chief this as they continue to push for the full implementation of non-monetary and administrative measures to stave off possible supply bottlenecks that have caused prices of key agricultural commodities to surge last year. The government is also currently looking for ways to improve the farm sector after its output grew by only 0.8% last year. While the hike in consumer prices was slower in January, local economists believe that the country's inflation woes are still far from over. University of Asia and the Pacific School of Economics Dean Sid De Rosa told media earlier that the upcoming elections could still trigger an increase in prices aside from a possible increase in world pump prices and adjustments to fuel excise taxes due to the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion law. Much news when we return.
Ang kagutuman at malnutrisyon ay isa sa mga lumalalang problema na kinakaharap ng ating bansa at maging ng buong daigdig.
Sa pag-aaral ng Social Weather Stations o SWS, nasa mahigit 2 milyong pamilyang Pilipino ang nagsabing nakaranas sila ng gutom sa unang quarter ng 2018.
Sa isang pag-aaral naman ukol sa estado ng kalusugan ng mga bata sa bawat bansa, ang Pilipinas ay naging pang-104 mula sa pang-76 na pwesto dahil sa mas dumaraming kaso ng malnutrisyon at pagkabansot sa mga bata.
Para maiwasan ang labis na kahirapan at kagutuman, isa sa nakikitang solusyon ang gulayan sa bakuran. Ang gulayan sa bakuran ay uri ng backyard gardening o munting taniman ng gulay para mapagkunan ng pagkain.
Tiyakin lang na sa itatanim na mga gulay dapat maging pili. Ang mga buto o binhi may sapat na lupang pagtatamnan o plating bukod sa may distansya. Ang bawat isang halaman kailangan din ng sapat na pagdidilig, pagtatanggal sa damo at paglalagay ng pataba.
Bukod sa makakatipid, isang stress reliever ang pag-aalaga ng mga tanim, lalo na't nakikita mo itong lumalago at iyong inaani. Higit sa lahat, makakakain ka ng sariwang gulay mula sa iyong pinagpaguran. Dahil kapag may tanim sa sariling bakuran at bakanting lote, makatitiyak ka na malinis at ligtas sa kemikal ang kinukonsumong gulay.
At kami po sa mata ng Agila, hinikayat po namin ang lahat na magkaroon ng gulayan sa bakuran.
Hey guys, I'm here today in my home state, Jersey City, New Jersey. Make sure you tune into Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm Ace and I'm 1 with 25.
Welcome back. The Department of Tourism is eyeing Siargao and Coron as its next target for government cleanup and rehabilitation efforts. This was according to Tourism Chief Bernadette Romulo Puyat, who bared on Monday future rehabilitation efforts for these two popular tourism sites. Romulo Puyat also said that there are ongoing cleanup and rehabilitation efforts in two other popular tourist spots, Panglao in Bohol and El Nido in Palawan. She said they went to Panglao last November and they actually gave them 6 months to follow the easement law and to follow environmental laws. The DOT chief said that in the rehabilitation efforts in Panglao and El Nido, there was no need to close these spots, unlike what had been done in Boracay, which had earlier been described as a cesspool by President Rodrigo Duterte before its rehabilitation. She, however, warned the mayors of Panglao and El Nido to start complying with environmental laws. She also added that she hopes the mayors of Panglao and El Nido start complying. The Philippine government is already in its second phase of rehabilitation efforts in Boracay Island. This involves repairing roads leading to island's timberland. Eight-time world champion Nicole David has announced she will retire at the end of 2018-2019 squash season, bringing down the curtain on the Malaysian's illustrious career. The 35-year-old is the most successful women's squash player of all time and spent an unprecedented 9 years as world #1 between 2006 to 2015. David said she had thought long and hard about calling it a day. David, the darling of Malaysian sports fans, has also won 5 British Open titles, 2 Commonwealth Games gold medals, 5 Asian Games gold medals, and 3 World Games gold medals in a glittering career spanning 2 decades. David's reign atop the PSA World Rankings game came an end in September 2015, but she continued to break records, achieving the longest unbroken run inside the world's top 5 at 143 months. David's final tournament will either be the British Open in Hull in May or the following month's World Tour Finals if she qualifies. David, who won her first Asian Games gold in 1998 at the age of 15, also said she will continue to work closely with the PSA to raise the awareness of squash globally in an apparent reference to efforts have the sports admitted to the Olympics. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I am 1 with 25.